What is going on, guys? Achilles here, and today we're going to be doing a special tank review for you guys. Today we're going to be doing the M6A2E1, also known as the Mutant. As you can tell, it's pretty rad looking. It's pretty much like the T-29 prototype turret put on the M6 hull with some beefed up armor, and I'm going to tell you guys all you need to know about that when we get into the actual tank review. But just to start out with some basic stats here, the Mutant actually has only 1,500 hit points, as you can see there. It's on the low side for tier 8 heavies, but I mean it's not really that big of a deal since you are going to be having quite a bit of armor to back that up to some degree. So yeah, so it has 1,500 hit points, and then you get 10 degrees of gun depression, which is actually extremely nice. But as you can tell, this tank is just really tall. It's literally almost as tall as this piece of shit. It's, as you can see, it is quite tall. So the 10 degrees of gun depression will come in handy. But if you are looking down on like a super short tank, you might not be able to shoot them. But I can tell you from experience, I've never had any issues with that. So yeah, so 10 degrees of gun depression. I think it has 20 degrees of gun elevation, which is really nice, and it has 1,500 hit points. So let's get into the armor profile here. So you have 191 millimeters of frontal armor on the hull, 44 on the side, and 41 on the rear. And on the turret, you have 191 on the front, 89 on the rear, and then 208 on the back for some reason. I know, it's really weird. So yeah, so the armor on this tank I found is very good. It's very good if you are in a top tier match. Excuse me. But when you start seeing tier 9s and some tier 8s with really good guns, you are going to have some issues when they are shooting at you. Your armor is going to fall a little bit short when guns like the AT-15 or like the T-20 or the Tiger II or anything with around 225 pen and above, they're going to be able to cut through this pretty easily. And you have to make sure that you don't really over angle it too much because your side armor is so weak. You can side scrape with this tank, but it's not exactly recommended, as I'm going to talk about here in a second. The turret, as you saw, was 191 millimeter stick. You can see that it has the little curvature around here where the little Brazil flag is, right around there, from probably about that viewport right there. That I'm looking, like, that's right above where I'm trying to zoom in. Right there is only 89 millimeters thick, or 89 millimeters thick, and then same on the other side. So if you are looking directly at the Mutant like this, if you shoot the sides of this turret where like you can see the Brazil flag, like a little bit to the left of the gun mallet and a little bit to the right of the gun mallet, you will be able to penetrate it just if you are staring at it. So that is a big weakness of this tank that a lot of people just don't know. I know that they're releasing this tank in the store again very soon, so you're probably going to see a lot of these, so I figured this would be the perfect time to do this. But it also does have the cupola weak spot, but it's pretty small, and seeing as how tall this tank is, most of the time when you are shooting at this thing, you're not even going to be able to see it. Especially if he's using his gun depression, it's not even visible. But yeah, so really there aren't really any like frontal weak spots. It's 191 millimeters across the board on the hull. It's universal, or yeah, it's universal. There's no weak spots at all. Not even the driver's port. Now I know this model is a little bit different from the PC version. They did actually rework it, and on the PC version, it's just like a flat slope. Like just a flat strip of armor. That little like bulge isn't there, so the armor values might be a little bit different on there. But pretty much everything is just pretty much the same across the board. There really aren't any differences between the PC version of this tank and this one. So let's hop into the modules now. So we have a 960 horsepower engine, which is pretty good. Now this tank does weigh quite a bit, almost 70 tons. So it's a good engine power, but it's not the best. And you're pretty much only going to get up to about what is it, 30 kilometers, I think. 29, not even 30, 29 kilometers an hour. So yeah, it's not the best, but it's not awful. This tank does struggle with flexing around the map, so you're gonna have to keep that in mind. And you're gonna have you're gonna have to have really good map awareness when you are playing this tank, and you're gonna have to carry it pretty hard. So you get a 960 horsepower engine, 24 degree track traverse speed, which is not the best. It's pretty much middle of the pack though. It's not too bad. It's not too awful. It's just kind of in the middle. You will find yourself getting outcircled by medium tanks and light tanks, which is really annoying. But I mean, you can't really do anything about it. And especially in this tank with your side armor being so weak, pretty much they're just going to rip you to shreds. But turret armor we just talked about, and then the turret traverse speed, 23 degrees, not the best. Pretty standard though for tier 8 heavies. And then 380 meter view range, which is pretty good. And then a surprisingly bad radio, only 570 meters, but that's really not that big of a deal. So the gun that this tank gets is the 105mm gun. This is pretty much the same gun that's on the T29. It actually is the exact gun that's on the T29 and the T32. This tank, I find that this tank's gun really suffers in the rate of fire department. That 5.05 rounds per minute is really hindering sometimes. I find with my setup it's around like a 9.4 second reload, but I think base it's over 10 seconds, so it can get pretty bad sometimes. You will find yourself getting out DPM by other tier 10 or tier 8 heavies, such as like the I6 and stuff like that. But the penetration and alpha damage is pretty reassuring, as it's the same as the T29 and the T32. So you have 198 pen with AP, 245 with APCR, 53 with HE, and 320 across the board for AP and APCR, and then 420 on the HE. Now, the aim time is, I feel like it's a little deceiving. You can see there it's around 2.3 seconds. I find that the dispersion is a lot worse on this tank than you would think. So that 2.3 second aiming time is probably around like 2.5, 2.7 in reality, just because of how awful the dispersions is. And then the accuracy isn't the best either at 0.41, so that doesn't really help you out much. I find that if you do run like Vents and Cola and Brothers in Arms like I do, the accuracy isn't that bad. I believe you can get it down to like 0.36, 0.37, somewhere around there to where it's manageable. But, this gun works on this tank. It's not amazing, it's not bad. It just kind of works. I find that that's just this tank in general. There's not really anything super special about it besides the fact that it makes an absolute metric fuck ton of credits. That's about it. I always thought this tank looked really cool just because it's, weird and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, the gun, it's not amazing, not bad. So let's go over the equipment fit here. So we're going to be running a large caliber tank gun rimmer, which is pretty obvious, and then a vertical stabilizer to help that pretty bad dispersion, and then pretty much just vents. This is a pretty standard setup for a tier 8 heavy. Not really anything too surprising here. I feel that maybe if you really wanted to, you could throw on maybe either the gun lane drive or optics. I don't really think the gun lane drive is needed, but I mean, if you really feel that you need to get that aim time down, then go for it. Toolbox wouldn't be that bad of an option either if you don't. I mean, I don't know why you would use it over vents or anything like that, but yeah. So that's pretty much my setup. Then let's go over some consumables here. You actually do get a lot of ammo with this tank. Surprisingly, you get, what is that? 60 shots? No, 66 shots. Yeah, that's a lot of ammo. Wait, no, 70. Damn, I can't math. No, that's 60. Yeah, 60 shots. So yeah, you do get 60 shots with this tank, and since you do have a 10-second reload, there's literally not going to be any ammo issues with this tank. I've never had an issue in the past. Never in any game that I've ever played in this tank have I ever come close to running out of ammo, so that's not an issue. And then consumable wise, I'm going to run the small repair kit, small health kit, and then a case of cola. Now I've had a couple of people tell me or ask me why I run cola on my American tanks. The theory behind that is that most of the time your American tanks really aren't going to catch on fire unless you get shot in the ass, and I pretty much never find myself ever showing my ass to people, so I pretty much never catch on fire unless I get flanked. So it's nice to have that extra DPM, better accuracy, better view range, stuff like that when you're running cola. And since it is a tier 8 premium, you are still going to make money, so that is a positive. Now let's go on to the crew skills here. 5 crucial crew skills that I think you should have with the Mutant. Obviously Sixth Sense, obviously repairs, obviously Brothers in Arms. For the next one, I would probably go snapshot, and then most definitely track mechanic. Either track mechanic or clutch braking, one of those two. I find that this tank's when you're trying to turn and people are circling you, that's really the downfall of this tank. So actually, I would go clutch braking over track mechanic. If you could have 6, then I would go with track mechanic as the 6th one. But yeah, I find that this tank really does suffer in situations where you have to fight one-on-one with like more tanks that are more agile than you. Heavy to heavy, this tank's really fun to play, and you're not gonna have to worry about getting flanked, obviously, because the heavy you're fighting, unless it's some super speedy like French thing, then you're fine. But yeah, the turning speed really isn't the best on this tank. So yeah, I would definitely recommend 6th Sense, repairs, Brothers in Arms, snapshot, and clutch braking. So that's pretty much it for the tank review, guys. There's not really much to talk about. Pretty sure I covered all of the bases here. I will be going over the modules here in a second. I completely forgot to do that, as you guys asked me before. So obviously you're going to see that the driver is going to sit right behind there, and then the commander is going to be up here, and then I find that usually the gunner is going to be right behind the gun. I think he's on the left side. If you're looking at the back of the tank, he's on the left side. And then obviously your fuel tanks are in the back, and then your ammo rack is going to be in the back of the turret where the machine gun is. And then your turret ring, obviously it's pretty prominent, and if it gets hit, it kind of sucks. But yeah, that's your turret ring is anywhere in the side, either a little bit above or a little bit below it. It does get really annoying sometimes when you do get shot there, but pretty much the vast majority of the issues that you're going to have with this tank is, I think, your driver dying. I've never really had any crew issues with this tank. I have pain tolerance on this crew, so crew members don't really die that much. And the ammo rack as well is also in the side of the tank right here, on both sides. So I hope that I hope that I can remember to do that every single time. I know that's really helpful for some of you guys with taking out tanks like this. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the tank review, guys. Let's hop right into the replays. Alright guys, so the first game that I have for you here is on the map Fisherman's Bay, and this is an encounter match on the I don't even remember, was this the war variant? I honestly don't remember. I think this is just the regular version. But today you're going to be seeing the Mutant armor in effect. This isn't exactly the best replay for showing how good the Mutant's armor is. As you saw, this is a tier 9 game, so it isn't the best matchmaking I could have possibly gotten. And actually, both the replays I have for you are both tier 9 games. So, no top tier play here, but I can assure you that when you do actually play this tank top tier, and there's a bunch of tier 6s running around, they're going to have a really hard time penetrating you, unless, of course, they get to your side. Now, both of these replays that I have for you really don't showcase the hold down capabilities and the gun depression capabilities. They're pretty much all just brawling it out with a bunch of guys. So you really do want to try to get on hills and fight hold down. I find that the gun mantlet really does soak up a lot with this tank. So you really do want to take advantage of that, because this tank, as you can see, it does have, it's pretty quick, but it also does have very, very, very good turret armor. 191 millimeters plus the gigantic gun mantlet, as you can see it there. It's pretty big. Shooting in between or above the gun mantlet is pretty hard to do. I mean, unless you're, of course, like 5 feet away, it's really easy to do, and I don't even know why you even want to do that when you can just shoot the turret cheeks. I really don't understand why people don't utilize that weak spot a lot more. The turret cheeks are really, really easy to hit, and since they're only about 100 millimeters thick, you can't really angle it or do anything about it. It's just kind of one of those things that's there, and you literally can't do anything about it. But you saw right there the light tank getting a shot into there and tracking me. That is just how weak this side armor is, and you can see this reload is not the best. It's not awful, but it's not amazing. I like to think of it like I'm using an IS-6, but it's a 105 millimeter gun and not 122. So it kind of sucks. But I mean, when you're keeping your distance like this and you have cover between you, and you're pretty much safe from all aspects of the game, you really don't have to worry about armor, or you really don't have to worry about rate of fire. I don't even know what I was just thinking there. So you can side scrape in this tank. As you can see here, I just bounced a shot from the super Pershing, and then you can see here just the accuracy of the gun. It really is not amazing. You really do want to keep yourself in the close quarters engagements when you are using this tank, as you should, because it is a pretty good heavy. it's good. It's a good heavy. It's not like the French heavies where they just kind of like just LOL around and autoloaders, no armor. This tank does have quite a good chunk of armor, and you really do need to utilize it because it isn't the fastest. As you can see, you're just getting pelted in the ass here, but I did actually bounce a Jagdtiger shot there, which was really nice. That was really cool. I think that's a Jagdtiger 88. I don't recall because I can't see it. It's so small. But yeah, that is a Jagdtiger 88. So the Jagdtiger 88, around 203 millimeters penetration. I did bounce a shot from him. As I said earlier, you're pretty much going to be able to bounce almost anything within the reason of the tank having 225 millimeters penetration or above. So it's around like 210, 220, somewhere around there. That'll be able to just cut right through your flush armor. You'll see in the next replay, when you do over angle the front of your hull, I find that it's a lot better option than side scraping sometimes, just because you are able to completely super angle the front of your armor without exposing your side, and you're gonna see what I mean by that in the next replay. But it's a very useful tactic when you are using this tank, because when you do super angle the upper plate of this tank, you can bounce some pretty crazy things. Now granted, if the people are smart, they're just gonna just shoot right through your turret or turret cheeks or something like that. But very rarely do you ever find people that smart to just have the knowledge to do that at tier 8. It's very rare that you ever find that. But here's what I was talking about earlier. You can see the AT-15 pretty much just literally shooting right through my upper plate, and I can't really do anything about it besides super angle it. But I was tracked and I was pinned against my T-54E1 here, and couldn't really do anything about that. But that's the kind of situation I'm talking about. That's where you would want to super angle your hull, and then trick them into shooting your front hull when they could have easily just penned your side armor or your turret cheek. So you really do want to do a lot of wiggling with this tank. I find that this tank's a lot like the 113 in a situation like that. When you do drive at people that can penetrate you with their standard rounds, you do want to do the little wiggle thing, just to make sure that well, not to make sure, but just to give yourself the best chance to bounce whatever they are, whatever tank is shooting at you. Now granted, if they have like 260, 270 pen, you probably aren't going to bounce them, unless of course you're angling at like 60 degrees and all they can see is the front of your armor. That's really the only situation that's ever going to apply. So you will have to keep that in mind. But overall, I really do enjoy this tank, and I know they haven't released this thing in a long time, so I'm really happy to see that they're releasing it again. Just to let those people that didn't pick it up the first time get an opportunity to pick it up, because I find this is probably one of my favorite tier 10 or tier 8 heavies, just tier 8 premiums, I should say. It's a very unique tank, and you get a lot of weird looks when you're driving around in it, and obviously you're probably not going to get as many when they release it again, but this thing has been quite a rarity for quite a long time. I can count on one hand the amount of times I've seen it since the last time they released it. So it's just kind of like one of those cool unique tanks to have, and it turns out to be pretty good. It's not one of those dumpy tier 8 premiums that you buy just for just to have because you're a collector. This tank actually does have a use, and it is quite good. So the second replay I have for you is on the newly added map Fjords here. I was really happy when they announced that they were adding this map. I really do. I thoroughly enjoy the gameplay of this map because there's pretty much aspects for every single tank in the game except for TDs and Arty, which is absolutely perfect. I love it. TDs can't really sit in the back of the map and do nothing unless of course they're sitting at like the like the J9 area on that little peninsula overlooking the southern peninsula at like like J4, J5 around there. And that's where I'm going to go this game with the Mutant, just kind of duke it out with all the other heavies on the other team. But the Mutant, it's a really fun tank. It makes quite a good amount of money, and it's one of those premiums that you don't have to shoot gold ammo with a lot. I found that really the only times you ever really need to shoot gold ammo when you are in this tank. I very rarely find myself ever shooting it, but the only times you really do ever have to shoot it is if you're going against like an E75 or something like that. The 198 it's sufficient enough to penetrate pretty much every single tier 9 in the game, as this tank does have preferential matchmaking, which is really nice. The 198 pen is sufficient to penetrate almost every single tier 9 tank in the game. You really aren't going to have any issues, unless of course you're just getting really bad luck and really bad RNG rolls with your pens. So you will make quite a good amount of money with with this tank. If you do just shoot AP and you're not using cola like me. I mean, you saw last game I made like 230 grand. Now I'm sure there was some like silver op with that, but this game you're seeing here is a little bit more honest. I think I make like 140,000 credits off of this game while using cola, and I didn't have any like spares, so I did have to actually expend the 20,000 credits to get it. So you're gonna see here just kind of rolling up. This is the pretty much where I'm gonna fight most of this little battle over here. Not much going on. Just kind of looking around, waiting for something to happen. Now, you are going to notice that the accuracy at a distance really is not the best. And another thing that I really have an issue with this tank is that the shell velocity is just, it's so slow. Like it's really bad at times. And here you can see the DPM getting in the way here. It really is an issue at sometimes. Like in a situation like that, I would have rather been in like a higher DPM heavy, like the Carnarvon or something. But you saw here's the situation I was talking about, where I'm going to be super angling the hull. I'm pretty much going to peek out at a really high angle here, trying to get the Leva to shoot my upper plate, and he actually ends up missing. I think he only ends up hitting it once, and you see there the 198 pen, plenty of pen to go through the Leva's upper plate, which is it's not amazing. I think it's only like 170 effective, not the best. But since it is AP, you do get really good normalization. And then you see here, still just super angling. I don't know why he didn't shoot there. But pretty much just playing the bait game here. And this is what you're going to want to do when you know that there's a tank on the other team that has a higher penetration gun than you do. Or not than you do, but then your armor can take. You saw the Leva did bounce off my upper plate there because I'm super angling it. And that tank has a really good gun. The Leva has 235 penetration with AP, I think it is. So that's a pretty dangerous gun to deal with right there. And we were able to bounce it with our upper plate. Now that is really only a strategy that you want to do when you know you have something to hide behind. If you see them pushing, like if you think you're about to get overmatched, you really do want to kind of straighten out and then make it a more manageable angle so your side armor is not able to be penetrable, and make it an auto ricochet. Because giving your side to people in this tank is really detrimental, and you will get absolutely shredded. There's really no bones about it. You'll just get absolutely annihilated, and there's nothing you can do about it. But just cleaning up the quick kill there, and yeah, so pretty much the Mutant in a nutshell. I find that this is probably one of my favorite Tier 8 premiums. This is one that's been in my garage for a long time. Ever since I bought it, I haven't like sold it or anything, and because you guys know I have a bad habit of selling Tier 8 premiums just to like buy a Tier 10 or something like that. I really do have an issue with that. I don't know why. I just really hate grinding silver, even though I have I don't even know how many Tier 8 premiums. But you're going to see here, sorry about the replay here. I don't remember why it glitched out like this, and I don't know if it actually fixes itself. But yeah, the Mutant, I really do enjoy it. It is a very fun tank to play, and it's just it's flexible on maps where you need the gun depression, but it also is hindered by its speed. I find that the gun depression really does make up for the lack of speed on some maps, like Prokhorovka, like Westfield and stuff like that. It really does make up for it. And guys, I do apologize for the end of this replay. I didn't know it was like this. But I really do think it's a really cool tank. It's unique. You don't really see very many of them, and you make a lot of credits, and that's pretty much all you're really asking for with a Tier 8 premium. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this tank review, guys. I really do apologize for the end of this replay. I did not know this was going to happen. And I don't really have any other gameplays to put in there, so this you're just gonna be staring at a bunch of trippy colors and glitchy shit for the next 10 seconds. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this tank review, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys later.